Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It has been yet another month. It's kind of hard to believe it. Yes, I am a couple days late on this video. I do apologize. March ended up being a relatively eventful month for me in many ways, but not so much in the video game space. Of course, there were some pretty big releases this month that I was looking forward to and I got to check out. But I also took a trip up north to visit a pretty cool place that I'm sure some of you have heard of. And if not, we'll go into that. But yeah, not a lot of crazy pickups this month. February, I got a brand new system. Nothing quite to that level here in March. But yeah, we did get some exciting things. So I think I'll start off with the first two. I mean, I always try to go in like oldest console to newest, stuff like that. So for those of you that don't know, I live in Virginia. And in Virginia, there's a pretty big retro game store, I guess you could call it a retro game store, up in Northern Virginia called Starland. And I've always wanted to go. I've always considered it like a mecca of retro game stores. There's Pink Gorilla out west in Seattle, and then Starland out here, and then like Japan, of course, has like Super Potato and stuff like that. So to me, this was a Super Potato of America. So I was like, I had to go. So I ended up going. It was a really cool place. It felt more like a warehouse, which was kind of different because how they do it is they have a warehouse because they sell stuff online as well as in store on their show floor. And so they had stuff up on shelves, they had stuff in boxes, and so a lot of what I was looking for were in those boxes. And so I didn't want to go crazy. I could have gone crazy and gotten some really cool stuff because they did have really cool stuff. But I kept myself to a pretty conserved budget, and I picked up games that I actually wanted and actually would fill out my collection a little bit better. So first up we have NASCAR Heat 2002. This is a launch title for the original Xbox. It's one of the last ones I need for the system. And then I'll be pretty close to done with the original Xbox North American launch lineup. I think I need there's another NASCAR game that came out. There's a hockey game, and then I need 4X4 Evo. So yeah, kind of excited about that one. Not necessarily like a great game. I played it for maybe a couple minutes. It's kind of whatever. But launch title, launch titles always bring me back, right, to what the console was like, and it just teleports me to what things were like. So Mad Dash Racing, for example, stuff like that. I just love launch titles. I think they're super interesting to kind of see what developers were doing with the system at the time, what they thought of the system at the time, and stuff like that. And so NASCAR Heat 2002 is just one of those games that just takes me back to a time, right? And then next up, kind of finishing off, almost finishing off my insane attempt to live vicariously through, one of my favorite YouTubers, of course, being Scott the Woz. My name is Scott. I'm a nerd. I love video games. I collect them. He's a nerd. His glasses. He collects video games. So why not continue the set of Madden 08? The original Xbox version I've been looking for a long time. So at this point, the only one I have left to get, I guess there's two beyond that, but console version, like home console version, is the GameCube. And so this one always, generally is a little more expensive than like the Wii and PS3 and all those versions. So I decided to finally pick it up at Starland. So yeah, these were the two games I got at Starland. Yeah, I know, I went crazy. I could have gotten Chrono Trigger or Little Samson. But no, I got Madden 08 on the original Xbox. So all that leaves for me now is the GameCube version, the DS version, and the PSP version. I did look for the PSP version there. I couldn't find it. In fact, their PSP stuff in general was a little disappointing, but they had some of the good heavy hitters down there, up there. I think next time I go, I will definitely try to record some footage and include it in my pickups videos because it's a cool place, and I definitely recommend y'all trying to go. If you can make it, of course. All right, and then next up, this one's kind of fun. Beautiful Katamari for the 360. To my knowledge, this game is still exclusive. I'm just a sucker for that, or only on 360 sticker. So yeah, I got this for $5. I couldn't say no. and you know it's complete, has the manual and everything. And you know I've heard it's not one of the better Katamari games, but it is exclusive, and I got it for $5 instead of like 20. So I really can't complain about that. So we've already ran out of original Xbox and 360, and we're going to be moving on to Xbox One. First up is going to be Far Cry 5. Now, for those of you that aren't aware, this game recently had its 5-year anniversary, so they updated it on PS5 and Xbox Series to support true native 4K resolution at 60 frames per second. So this got a native Series X patch, which was really cool. But before I got the game, it didn't have the patch yet. I was still picking this game up knowing, you know, it had FPS boost. So that's why I picked it up. And then a couple weeks later, they did that anniversary patch. So I have yet to actually check out the patch. I've heard good things. And Far Cry 5 has always been one of the better games in the series. So it's really cool that that game finally got enhanced to the point where, you know, it's taking advantage of the hardware pretty well. And you know, hopefully they can maybe do it with Far Cry 4. I would love to see that. Far Cry 4 is my second favorite game in that series, and so I'd love to see that. But you know, this basically rounds out the Far Cry games for me on Xbox. I guess really all I have left to get, I would guess, is Far Cry 2 and then like Far Cry Instincts. So you know, I like the Far Cry series. I know it gets a lot of shit from people, especially people that are really burned out on Ubisoft style of games, but you know, I just, it's a series that I've always liked, and so I figured, why not complete the set? So that means I have Far Cry 3, 4, 5, and now 6. So pretty cool. Hopefully I can pick up 2 at some point, and have a fun little idea in mind for something I want to do with Far Cry 2. All right, next one. This one is hilarious. So obviously I work at GameStop and all that. So here is Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. So this was a PSP game that was originally only in Japan, I think, and then they ported it to home consoles. Guess how much GameStop was selling this for? A cent. They were selling it for a cent. So, yeah, I have no idea why. I have yet to actually see if the game works. But you know, on PlayStation 4 we sold this game for $20. So I was like, okay, I'll see what's up with this. It's literally free, right? Like I'm gonna see what's up with it. It's in the Final Fantasy 13 like Novel Crystallis universe, so it does tie into those games to my knowledge. I have to admit I don't know very much about this Final Fantasy game, but I got it for a penny. I really can't complain. And if I want to get the PS4 version, I can get the PS4 version. Another fun one, just to kind of complete, you know, I've been on a Battlefield kick recently, so I figured why not finish things up with it. So I picked up Battlefield 1 on Xbox One because this game is FPS boosted to, I believe, 100. It's either 60 or 120 frames per second. It has to be 120 frames per second. Battlefield 1 always been a really solid game in the series. Probably the last truly good Battlefield game. 5 is okay, and it had some improvements, but 3, 4, and 1 was like this hot streak that was just amazing. And of course, you know, you remember in the last PickUpz video, I grabbed the Battlefield Bad Company games. Those games are being removed from digital stores, coming soon. And, you know, this is a big deal to me. This is why physical games are always going to be important to me. Yes, I have Battlefield 1 digitally. Yes, I have it on Game Pass with EA Access. EA Play or whatever it's called. But having a physical version of this game, even though it has a lot of multiplayer components, it still has a really solid single-player experience. And that's the problem with those Bad Company games. The Bad Company games, yes, they have multiplayer components, but they also have really solid single players, especially Bad Company 2. And it breaks my heart that, you know, publishers just don't see that, right? Like, they don't value the game. They don't value, quite frankly, the customer. And I just think that's a shame. Because we saw the same thing recently with the Nintendo eShop on the Wii U and 3DS closing down, but Nintendo's always done stuff like that. So it was within character for Nintendo. But you know, EA doing something like this is just really heartbreaking because it's like Battlefield Bad Company 1 and 2 aren't even that old of games. They still have a pretty active player base, especially Bad Company 2. You know, you ask any Battlefield fan, Bad Company 2 is a fan favorite game. It's up there for people with Battlefield 2, 3, 4, and even Battlefield 1. So it is a really big shame that that's happening. So that's a big reason I decided to finally bite the bullet on that. Physically wise, the only one I need left, I guess, is Battlefield 5, but I don't really care that much. But I guess for the sake of preservation and the collection, I'd pick it up. So yeah. All right, moving on to PS4. Yeah, pretty light so far. We only have a little chunk here, so you know, it's gonna be a short video, but hey, we're keeping it chill. Spring is here, so why not relax a little bit, right? Next up, we have the true masterpiece, Knack 2. I picked up Knack 1 a couple months ago, and so I finally decided, you know, let's bite the bullet on Knack 2. Another PlayStation 4 exclusive game. Why not, right? So yeah, I've not finished Knack 1, but hey, I've heard you don't need to finish Knack 1 to understand Knack 2. I know nothing about Knack 2. Like, the thing with Knack 1, right, it was a launch title, so it was kind of a big deal. Knack 2 just kind of exists, so I have no idea if it's actually any good or made any good improvements or anything like that. So, you know, Knack 2, PS4 game. It's the only PS4 game I got this month. Well, actually, I bought Catherine Full Body digitally. I know, okay. You know why I bought it digitally? Because it goes for $50 now on PS4, and I have the PS3 version, so I was like, okay, whatever. All right, then the big one, of course, it's been teased here in the background. Oh, I don't even have the disc inserted. It's been teased here in the background the whole video, and that is my most anticipated game of the entire year, finally released at the end of March 24th. That, of course, being Resident Evil 4 Remake. So yeah, Resident Evil 4 Remake is finally here. And another reason why I didn't want to make this video yet was I wanted to finish this game. And I did, okay? It took me about 10 hours. I A-ranked it. I played on standard difficulty. And I had a really good time with it. I definitely am going to replay it soon because I have to admit, the controls just never clicked with me. And this is something I've been seeing in a lot of the reviews, is that like the controls just felt stiff or whatever. And just the problem with this one is I just felt like I could never get into the swing of it, right? Like it always felt like I was struggling with the controls. I was struggling to just have it click in my brain, right? You know, because sometimes you're playing a game and it just clicks with you, right? You're just like, okay, you're going along, boom, clicks, everything's great. And with Resident Evil 4 Remake, it just never happened for me, right? It never happened, which was a shame because pretty much everything about this game, the design of it, the direction of the story, and the changes they made are all great. I really had a good time with it. Leon is just better than ever, man. He's becoming, you know, I've always liked Leon, but he's, you know, with Resident Evil 2 Remake, and then Resident Evil 4 Remake, he's slowly becoming one of my favorite Resident Evil protagonists. Slowly climbing up the ladder there, because I've always said in the past, like in the original Resident Evil 4, I don't know, Leon just doesn't click with me in that game. But in this remake, they really improved his character, and they improved Ashley's character too. They've improved Luis's character. Really, the only character that needed some work was probably Ada Wong. Everyone else, and even including, well, I guess Salazar or Ramon. You can call me Ramon. Pretty much everyone else in the game is a big improvement. Ashley genuinely like felt like a real character this time, which was cool, and I loved how it really felt like it actually connected to the events of Resident Evil 2 Remake. You know, they feel like the same Leon, unlike in the original game, where it just doesn't feel like the same Leon. And that's something with this remake initiative that I've enjoyed, is everything feels a lot more cohesive. If you've played 2 and 3 Remake like me, you go into Resident Evil 4 Remake and you get more context. You actually kind of see stuff and learn more about Leon after Resident Evil 2 and, you know, his time with Jack Krauser. And Krauser was a big improvement in the remake as well. They fleshed out his character so much, and the boss fights with him were the highlights for me. The final fight with Krauser kicked my ass. It was so difficult because I went into that fight super unprepared. I had no health, and it was such a blast, parrying and everything. And that was a big thing with this game, the knife. The knife is crazy in this game. It's going to make going back to older games without a crazy knife kind of difficult. But yeah, Resident Evil 4 Remake, just a splendid time. I highly recommend it. You know, It is the best time in the history of the franchise, probably since the beginning of it, to be a Resident Evil fan. And I got this question because if you guys don't remember, I did do a Resident Evil tier list when Village was coming out. So I ranked every game excluding the Revelations game. So I did Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 0, Code Veronica, Remake, 5, or 4, 5, 6, 7, and then Resident Evil 2, 3 remakes. And so there's been 2 Resident Evil games that have come out since then. I want to replay Village, to be honest, because I haven't played it since it came out. And then I might do another playthrough of Resident Evil 4 remake, because that's the thing about Resident Evil games; they're meant to be replayed, and that's why I love them so much. Is the replayability of them is just so fun. So I definitely am looking to do another Resident Evil tier list video. It's hopefully going to be a little shorter, and then I will maybe include the Revelations games. Problem with that is I have to play them again. Revelations 1 I like, but Revelations 2 I like a lot. That's just the thing is I don't want to have to play through those games all the way again necessarily. I don't know. Maybe I'm just lazy. But yeah, this just adds yet another Resident Evil 4 to my collection. I'm going kind of crazy here with Resident Evil 4s. So yeah, that was the pickups this month. Of course, it wasn't a lot, but got some pretty cool stuff, and my most anticipated game of the year released, so I can't complain that much. April, I'm trying to think what's coming out this month that I'm actually looking forward to. I know there's some pretty big releases like Jedi Survivor. I have to admit I'm not really crazy about that game, so we'll see. But it's really not until May and June when there's like actual games I'm pretty excited about. Those being, of course, I guess The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and then Final Fantasy 16 is right around the horizon. So I'm looking forward to that. But, of course, as always, let me know down in the comments below. Did you pick up any cool games last month? I almost said this month. Did you pick up any cool games in March? Did you pick up the Resident Evil 4 remake? Did you pick up other games that came out this month? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and stay strong, everybody.